Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and I am trying to get caught up on these R. Kelly case updates. And so if you saw last night, I posted part 1 of the transcripts from day 4, which would have been Monday, August 23rd. Part 2 is going to run tonight, so make sure you turn on the notifications so that you know when that video goes live. And then I believe I skipped over to like day 6 and 7 and talked about the testimony that took place on those days while I was waiting for the second transcript. But it doesn't look like we're going to get the transcript because they allegedly are on hold currently, and they don't know when they will be able to resume releasing those transcripts in the future. And so I forgot to talk about Ariel's second day on the stand and the final wrap up, which took place on Wednesday morning. So let's go ahead and get into that. And as you know, when I'm giving these recaps, I'm pulling information that has been published by news publications and blogs. And oftentimes this information is very biased towards the prosecution. However, let's wait and see before we totally cancel the reporters out. Let's see if the tables doesn't turn when the defense puts on their case, and see if, they are then biased towards the defense, right? Because they're the ones that are putting on their case. But what I want to bring to you and what I scour through the internet trying to find is any information I can on the cross-examination that the defense does after the prosecution rests, from giving their direct testimony. And then remember, even if you're missing something in the prosecution's part of the case, the defense gets to put on a whole case also. They get to bring their own witnesses. Sometimes the witnesses on the prosecution side can get recalled to the stand, once the defense gives their story or their evidence. And so let's not give up hope, okay? Like, the reporting may get better. And then also the attorney, Timony, I think her name is, Adams from Dallas, she says that she is going to try and get back for when the defense takes over. And so hopefully we'll get more and better recaps on what is going on in the courtroom. And then I always tell you guys, I'm pulling this information from the media, from the news outlets, and I try to give them credit. When I'm reading their information, I will tell you where it comes from, and then there's a credits reel at the end of the video. And so let's go ahead and get started. This first information is actually coming from, well, let's start with Victoria Bickiempis. She is on Twitter, and I took these notes, can't remember what day I took these notes, but anyway, her tweets were: the line dispute among R. Kelly supporters intensified. There are about 6 U.S. Marshals outside telling those in line that if there is ongoing drama, they won't be allowed to come inside. One revealed while addressing the crowd that the police had been called on 2 days over disputes. You think R. Kelly's worried about you in line? He doesn't care. He's busy with other shit. You have to get along. Another marshal tells some supporters worried about not getting into the trial viewing room. Supporter tells Marshall that he loves us, referring to Kelly. The marshals really have been trying to de-escalate the situation and have been successful so far, as I can see from situations outside. Some supporters who aren't inside are speaking with the marshal, explaining their frustrations. I'm not siding with anyone. I'm a reporter and do my best to be objective, but the marshals did de-escalate the situation in a way that you often don't see in other disputes where police are involved, which is to say they didn't act in an over-the-top manner. For those unfamiliar with court, those who do security at Fed, referring to federal courthouses, are from the U.S. Marshal Service. This isn't like a fugitive finding detail. NYPD car showed up in front of the courthouse. They had brief chat with marshals, like maybe less than a minute, and left. I'm not upstairs yet, so I don't know the situation inside, but again, it would be good to see this de-escalation approach used all the time across NYC. And I think I've shared with you guys before that there have been some situations going on at the courthouse. There was something that took place the first day that Demetrius Smith testified, and at the end of court on Friday is the day he was on the stand first. There was some kind of dispute in the lobby. Then there was another dispute where, I call them the fake sisters, and I'm going to continue to call them the fake sisters, where they showed up, and then I guess people, got upset and was yelling to the reporters that those were not his real sisters. And then I'm not sure exactly what day I took these notes from Vicky that she's sharing. I didn't write down what day it was. She did write it down on her Twitter post. So here is an article that appeared in the USA Today, and it says, on cross-examination by defense attorney Deveraux Cannick, the witness said she moved in with Kelly in 2015 when she was still a junior in high school, and his alleged abuse began a few months later. And so this is when Ariel Clary was on the stand, and now they're talking about the cross-examination. And I may have talked about this more in my last video, but it was from the prosecutor's standpoint. And so here's somebody that's talking about the cross-examination. And so it says, there was a time he slapped me open palm. She said, after that, she said, Kelly sent her home. Did she tell her parents what happened? I did not know, she said. One time she alleged that sex with Kelly in a hotel in Orlando. She said police came into the room afterward and asked her age. She told them she was 18. Did she tell the police she had been violated by Kelly? Cannick asked. No, she said. She was asked if she subsequently flew back to meet with him in California. I did, yes, she said. How soon? Most likely the next weekend, she said. The defense introduced a letter she wrote to Kelly after they separated, explaining she could no longer be so closely associated with him. And then she said, I will have to support you privately, not publicly, the letter said. And I will always love and support you, Bear. Just know I'm always here. I have no bad feelings, Bear. And remember, Bear is the nickname that R. Kelly had for Ariel. So in another letter introduced as evidence, she recalled happy times she had with Kelly. I used to happily wait on Kelly at home after he finished meetings, she wrote. She remembers when we carved our initials into the table, but she couldn't remember when she wrote the letter, if it was before Surviving R. Kelly aired in January 2019 or after it aired. The witness said she couldn't remember when asked other questions or her answers contradicted what she told prosecutors in pre-trial interviews. She said Kelly asked her to watch only him when she went to the gym to watch him play basketball. How did she do that? The witness said she didn't know. I go by the shoes, she said, but couldn't identify the brand or the color of Kelly's shoes. Any night could be a different kind of shoes. He has over 1,000 pairs, she said. Did Kelly masturbate while she sang? She couldn't recall, but Cannick produced the witness interview with prosecutors in which she said that. She said Kelly made her call him daddy almost immediately, but she acknowledged under questioning that she also called him Papa Bear and he would call her Mama Bear. The witness said a number of women lived with her and Kelly in his home in Atlanta and Chicago over the years, and they would eat together, go to the movies together, and go to the park together. She said one time Kelly rented a house in California for Christmas and took videos of the holiday celebrations. Did she remember Kelly giving his female friends $10,000 each as presents? Yes, she said. The witness said, let's go back to that part, because it came out that she said at some point during her testimony that he didn't celebrate the holidays. He didn't like celebrating Christmas. But here she is saying that they rented this house in California to celebrate Christmas and that he gave everybody $10,000 each as a present. The witness said she met Kelly at one of his concerts where she danced on a speaker. She said her mother was eager to approach Kelly to help her daughter's singing career, even texting him and pretending to be the teenager. And then in this article from the Daily Beast, they talk more about the infamous dildo that the Clarys was trying to pitch to R. Kelly. It says that the parents of an R. Kelly accuser tried to get the disgraced R&B singer, I hate when they use that word, disgraced, R&B singer, involved in many of their business deals, including a blue dildo that would function in sync with his music, the singer's defense attorney said on Tuesday. The shocking revelation came during cross-examination of Jane, a woman who said she was in an abusive relationship, blah, 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 over the past 2 years. And then she's 23 years old now, and we know her to be Ariel Clary. Defense attorney Deveraux Cannick, however, focused the beginning of his cross-examination on what he described as the lengths Jane's parents went to be a part of Kelly's inner circle. Jane admitted that her parents tried to get Kelly involved in many of their own business deals, including the electronic sex toy. And so if you're new to this channel or new to, looking for information, the people that are testifying, many of them are using fake names. And so Jane, who said that her name was going to be Zale, is Ariel Clary, but they're referring to her as Jane in court, as well as in many of the articles. So Zale is out of the window. So it says that the feature of this dildo is that when it was in use, it would sync to R. Kelly's music, Cannick said. Jane, however, said that while her parents did pitch the idea and that Kelly asked them for a proper proposal on the product, the singer did not ultimately endorse it because it was not something he could ever do. So, first of all, you send your 17-year-old daughter into the lion's den, and then once she gets in there, you're trying to pitch ideas, and that seems to be a common theme with many of these parents, because we know that these savages also were trying to pitch things, and we know that Michelle Kramer may have had a store of some sort at some point that he helped her invest in. I haven't found much information on that, but that is a story that I have heard over the years, that while Dominique was with him, that, she would constantly get money, steal money to give to her mom, and that maybe he had helped the mom, or maybe the mom had a business and the business was failing and he invested in it. Something like that. But it seems that all these parents were more concerned about themselves than they were about their children. Then here it talks about day 6. And this is Pilar Melendez. And this is her tweet from day 6, which would have been Wednesday. She says, "Hi from Brooklyn Federal Courthouse. There were just some shouts of free R. Kelly from several supporters who are at court. One supporter told me that several of them arrived at the courthouse at 2 a.m. There's limited space in public viewing room, which previously spurred verbal conflict. It is totally calm thus far. Got here about 7:50 and haven't seen any arguments. And then she also posted later in the day, afternoon break, in the R. Kelly trial updates. Forensic testified that the t-shirt Geronda Pace kept after a sexual encounter from when she was 16 did have semen on it. And then this is me talking. But were they able to determine the DNA in the semen? Did that DNA match the defendant, who she is claiming the semen came from? Or did she get that t-shirt from her husband? Because you guys might not know, but Geronda got married like soon after this whole time that she claimed that she was in this 6-month relationship with R. Kelly. I believe she got married in that same year in 2010. And if it wasn't 2010, it was close proximity. And then also, speaking of Geronda, she did have her baby. He was born maybe Wednesday or Thursday of this week. He was born this week, and she's already talking about having another baby. So Geronda has like 5 kids. I think one of her kids was a twin, and the other twin passed away. Please don't quote me on that, but I believe she has said that before. And now she's talking about her husband so fine, she ready to get pregnant again. And then, of course, the sisters have come for Geronda, calling her a liar. They have put tweets out, just scandalous, talking about some of the stuff that this girl done did and how she's lied on R. Kelly, accusations against her husband, doing things in the presence of one of the daughters, just all kind of craziness. But we're going to keep this on the case. And so then she goes on to say that a friend of Jane, who is now testifying, plus going through 2015 texts she had with after Jane left to be with R. Kelly. And so the friend is a girl named Malaka. I know I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but it's Malaka, I believe. And I was questioning why they kept calling Ariel Jane. So remember, in the beginning, her name was supposed to be Zell, but I guess at some point she said, just call me Jane. So that is what they are referring to in the testimony. Then, of course, Inner City Press is very upset about the media manipulation and how Judge Donnelly has stopped releasing the exhibits in the case. She has stopped transcripts being released in the case. And it's just a whole bunch of mess going on. And I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a lawsuit about this failure to release information and public disclosure. And one person has already stated that the way she is handling this case could be grounds for a mistrial if there is a conviction. Okay, so then we move on, and this may also be from Pilar because she works for Billboard. And let's see what useful information is in this one. So they talk about when Surviving R. Kelly was being filmed, and you guys remember Gayle King came out and said that R. Kelly was in the background and that he would cough. And so Ariel testified that he was definitely in the room, and that when he coughed, he was letting us know he was in the room with us. And then says that the trial is unfolding, and they talk about, some of the evidence that is coming out, that jurors have so far heard from 2 women who claim that Kelly began degrading them when they were still teens. They said he used his stardom to lure them into the insular world. And then it says, in her second day on the witness stand, the latest witness described an episode where Kelly ordered her to have sex with a man nicknamed Nephew as one of her punishments. She said Kelly was in the room watching the encounter. And then speaking of Nephew, Kelly told her he had been grooming him since he was young, like me. She said prosecutors have alleged that Kelly exploited two other John Does The witness originally began what turned out to be a 5-year relationship with Kelly's assurance that he could promote her own music career. Asked what steps he took to help during the time, and she had one word answer: none. That he did nothing to help her with her music career. Probably because you was doing everything else. Like, he didn't want to be that attached. He probably was trying to figure out how to get rid of Ariel from day one, once he realized he had done made a big mistake by getting involved with her. But, he said that he told Gayle King in that interview, now I thought he was talking about Jocelyn when he said she couldn't sing, but she was pretty. So he'd rather have her as a girlfriend, but he might have been talking about both of them, that neither one of them could sing. And yes, Ariel can sing. A lot of people can sing. If you go into any Black Baptist church in America on Sunday morning, it's some singing going on. But those people will never make it in the music industry. And so maybe that was his feeling about Ariel, that yes, you can sing, but girl, you can't sing, and you got a nasty attitude, and you will not get along in the industry world. Then he probably was looking at, like, if she's telling the truth about their relationship, he probably looking at she would be strung out, laid out, like everybody would be taking advantage of her. She would be like the industry whore if she were to ever have a career, because she had no self-control and she was willing to give it up in a van the first time she was with him. So then goes on, and I believe that this is from Court TV. It says courtroom notes. It says prosecution finishes direct examination of Jane Doe 5. Jane Doe 5, which is Ariel Clary, says Kelly made her lie to Gayle King in an interview 2 months after the release of Surviving R. Kelly. During lengthy cross-examination, defense lawyer Deveraux Cannick grills Jane on her, this is still Pilar, grills Jane on her parents' possible motives for letting Kelly get close to their daughter. Cannick questions Jane about lying to the police and Kelly about her age on the day of their first sexual encounter. Jane reads aloud letters reminiscing about good times with Kelly, including time he staged $500 worth of Red Lobster in a room and played music for her. Okay, and then this article here is from Reuters. And so they say that a lawyer for R. Kelly on Wednesday tried to undercut claims by a woman accusing the R&B singer of sexual abuse by showing letters she wrote to family members in which she accused her parents of selling her out. And then you guys, I think I talked about this before, and then she turned around and said that she wrote those letters because R. Kelly made her write those letters in the event that he was indicted again, and then he could show the letters and show that they were there willingly. Some convoluted scheme that they had on. Attorney Deveraux Cannick asked the woman, known on the witness stand as Jane, to read letters in which she said her parents had suggested she lied to Kelly about her age and that they tried to benefit financially from her relationship with him. In an undated letter to her brother, Jane said her mother would nag her to take photos and videos of her and Kelly so she could blackmail him and push her to dress provocatively for the singer. And says on Now 23, Jane told prosecutors that Kelly, 54, coerced her and other women to write the letters in order to protect him from possible legal troubles. The defendant would tell us exactly what to say, Jane testified on her third day in the witness stand at Kelly's abuse trial in federal court in Brooklyn. Kelly, known for the Grammy Award-winning sing I Believe I Can Fly, and I believe I already shared this information in a previous video with you guys, so let's just go ahead and scroll further down. And then she said that during their first meeting, Kelly pressured her into having oral sex before granting her a singing audition. Jane said she began regularly meeting with Kelly and having sex with him in different cities. She testified that her parents eventually agreed to put her under the care of a woman Kelly knew, so Jane would live with the singer in Chicago while attending high school virtually. And during her testimony in the videos that I'm going to do from the transcript, she actually says that this Valerie Payton lady, who I think is the name that was on this letter, that was actually the girl Juice who lived in the house with them, that somebody said was the trainer. I believe it was Geronda said Juice was the trainer. But anyway, was the sexual trainer, okay. But Ariel alleges that the woman that the mother was writing that letter to, saying that I'm putting my daughter in your care, that letter was actually written to Juice's mother. And then we also had the question about the letter and how it was still in the binder. It was handwritten and it couldn't be a legal document. Well, now they are claiming that a second letter was officially drawn up and notarized before it was handed over to whoever the person was. And so I would be interested in finding out if they have any kind of experts to come in and tell them, when was this letter written? When people notarize documents, they have to keep a ledger and a journal. So is the defense going to subpoena that ledger to show if that document was actually notarized in 2015 when they are claiming that it was notarized? Because that can easily be proven because they have to keep track of everything that they notarize. And so then it says later on Wednesday, Malak Benadala, Benabdallah, so maybe she's Indian, a former high school friend of Jane, testified that Jane told her in text messages exchanged in 2015 that she had sexual intercourse with Kelly and that she believed she was pregnant. Prosecutors showed text messages between the two teenagers at the time, one containing baby bottle emojis. Now, what's interesting about that? So if we go with the fact that it was a setup from the beginning with Ariel and her family, that they sent her into R. Kelly's camp, to kind of blackmail him because they know his history. The mom stated in an interview with WFLA, which is still on YouTube, you guys can find it, that Ariel had really researched R. Kelly, that she knew everything about him. And I believe that this part of the story, it was all a setup. They knew going in that if R. Kelly did not provide Ariel with the song, didn't boost her career, that they were going to turn around and try to blackmail him, and that they were creating this trail of documents. Like, she says that he told her that she couldn't text people. Then she turned around and said he took her phone, but then he bought her a phone and that she was only supposed to use for specific reasons. She talks about in her testimony how there was somebody who was able to trace the information on her phone and told R. Kelly that she was a rat, and that she was talking. And so to me, she was sending these text messages and videos to her friends so that in the event they had to blackmail him, that they would be able to prove that she was there with him. That type of stuff was going on, based on these text messages that she's sending to her friends. And so it seems that the Savages and the Clarys both had set up in their mind that was all that they were thinking about doing. So then here are some notes that says direct examination, Jane Doe number 5 resumes. Let's see, a punishment for talking to another girlfriend about intimate details of their respective relationships with Kelly. Kelly allegedly makes Jane Doe 5 have sex with someone referred to nephew. Kelly describes nephew as someone he'd been grooming since he was young. Kelly instructs Ariel and nephew on what to do and records it on his iPad. In another instance, Kelly allegedly records himself having sex with Ariel and nephew as Kelly and nephew go back and forth between having sex with Ariel and another girlfriend, Joy. After a chastising, Kelly records Ariel saying demeaning things about herself. He also shows her videos of other girlfriends saying similar things. Kelly tells the woman they're worthless and don't mean anything to their parents and are better off with them. Now, remember, this is all stuff that Ariel is telling them. Kelly says his managers gave Ariel parents bricks, meaning narcotics, in exchange for her. So now he out here dealing drugs, y'all, okay? And then it says that Ariel reads aloud apology letters she wrote to Kelly. The tone is alternately contrite and defensive as she complains that her apologies were never enough to soothe his ego. Ariel says that she left Kelly in October 2019 and began speaking to government officials in January 2020. Prosecutors asked which, if any, steps Kelly took to further her music career, and she said none. And then on cross-examination, the defense presses Kelly accuser on her intentions with Kelly. The defense questions Kelly's accuser on her parents' role in her career aspirations. And then Ariel says she returned to Kelly after leaving him the first time. And then cross-examination by Deveraux Cannick. Cannick presses her on when she considers the start of the abuse. She says it was when Kelly slapped her at the end of summer 2015 when she revealed her age. She says she went home the next day but later returned to Kelly. She says she did not tell her parents about him slapping her. The April 2015 concert, Ariel denies defense suggestions that her mother urged her to get R. Kelly's attention. She agrees many other people were at the concert and hers wasn't the only hand in the crowd that Kelly touched, because in her testimony she was acting like he just zoomed in on her, like she was just had like a halo over her head or a glow or something, and that he just had to have her, and he sent somebody to give her a phone number for her to call. But now she admits that there was a whole bunch of women. He talked to all the women standing in front of the stage because they give out passes to allow people to come up to the stage to interact with him. And I was trying to remember the last two concerts that he had here. I know he did it at the one at the Yuling Center, which was in November of 2018. But when I saw him before that in like 2016, 2017, I don't remember him interacting with women, like allowing women to come on the stage or get close to the stage. I don't remember if he did that. It seemed like when he moved to the back of the venue and there was another stage that he appeared on, I believe people were able to run up to that stage because it was like such a shock that he had came across the stadium and was now on this other stage. But when he was on the main stage, I don't remember anyone going up there to him. And then it says, she says she was the one. Okay, wait a minute. Cannick presses her on whether she went on stage and danced. She denies twerking on a speaker, then concedes she was doing what others was doing, which was twerking. She says she was the one to send Kelly the video of herself singing in her underwear, and that it was not her mother, as she has previously testified, who texts Kelly pretending to be her daughter for 2 days, according to Jane Doe Ariel. Ariel denies that her parents told her to tell Kelly that she was 18. She agrees with Cannick that you don't have to be 18 to audition as a singer. And then Cannick presses her on her parents' involvement in her career. She says they were supportive and encouraging in response to his question on whether they pressured her. And then Azriel admits that she traveled to R. Kelly's concerts alone without chaperones, missed school, and didn't tell her parents about the sexual activity, which is very confusing considering there's been this whole story that the sister, Acrylis or however you pronounce her name, that she was with R. Kelly during the summer. So are they now saying that that was a whole lie, that the sister was never there with her? Because remember, the sister was saying that she came home because things were so crazy. She didn't like what was going on and she didn't want to be there anymore. And we were questioning, like, how could you just leave your 17-year-old sister in this place with these grown people by herself? And so here, Azriel saying that she was not chaperoned, that she went by herself. And then the notes from day 4, it says, and actually I am going to bring this to you. You've gotten half of this last night and then the other half is going to post tonight, but we'll go through this anyway. Witness number 8, referred to as Jane Doe number 5, took the stand. She meets R. Kelly at a concert in Orlando during the singer's Black Panties tour. The 17-year-old high school junior at the time, she stays with Kelly for 5 years. She is an aspiring singer and performer. At the concert, members of Kelly's entourage gave her a wristband that gets her into the area in front of the stage known as the pit. It is in the pit that Kelly sings to her, pays attention to her, and passes her a pair of black panties that she takes a photo of herself holding. And so as per the cross-examination, she admitted that she was not the only one and that there were multiple women that received that same treatment. She later speaks to Kelly via FaceTime, tells him about her showbiz aspirations, and says she's 18. A few days later, he invites her to his Orlando hotel to audition for him. Kelly tells her he needs to relieve himself sexually before she can audition. Police knock on the hotel door looking for her after parents report her missing. Kelly gets anxious, tells her to put clothes on, asks how old she is before letting in police, and she says 18. Police check her driver's license, ask her age, which she says is 18, give Kelly their business card, offer security services for next time he is in town, and they leave. After audition, Kelly gives her his assistant's number and tells her what to say so his assistant can book travel to meet Kelly at next concert location. She sends Kelly videos of herself singing privately in bras and panties and performing in public. She sends Kelly her first professionally cut demo, seeking feedback, tells the court, I genuinely wanted his input. She travels to Los Angeles to meet Kelly, where Kelly insists on performing oral on her before she sings for him. In Los Angeles, she learns some of Kelly's rules: call him daddy, dress in loose baggy clothes, let him know when she leaves hotel. After a concert in Stockton, California, she had intercourse for first time in hotel suite. She remembers it because she had never seen a fireplace in a room before. Kelly does not use a condom and does not tell her about his STD, a violation of California law. She travels to Las Vegas, and basically all of this is stuff that is in the video that I posted last night. So we are going to skip through all of this. If you want all the details, check out that video. And let's see what else we have. And then they start talking about Demetrius. I did want to read some of the cross-examination by Deveraux Cannick on Demetrius Smith. And so it says, Cannick, Robert told you Aaliyah might be pregnant. That's what I assumed. To my knowledge, Aaliyah was never pregnant. You later wrote a book. Yes, you embellished some things to juice it up a bit. Isn't that correct? Smith, no, I wrote to the best of my ability. I was in prison at the time. Cannick, Robert never had anything to do with your bribing anyone to get a marriage license. Smith, no, he didn't. Smith was 24 when he met a 16-year-old Kelly Smith was a singer at the time looking for a move up in the music business. And then asks about Kelly being signed to a record label, Jive Records. Cannick wants to know if the label dressed Kelly up like a sex symbol, making him open his shirt, showing his chest while promoting him. Judge sustains an objection to this line of questioning. So he wasn't able to prove his point that, that the music industry created R. Kelly and gave him this persona, which ultimately attracted a lot of women. And so I believe that that's it. Let me see. Yeah, because they're going backwards, day 2, day 1, all of that. So I did an update, I believe it was yesterday, and I believe I left out the information about the cross-examination from Deveraux Cannick. And so I just wanted to bring you guys that information and to remind you to come back this evening when I post part 2 of the day 1 examination, direct examination of Ariel Clary. So go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.